Hey everybody, welcome to MixLife number 49. I am the chemist and I'm going to be riding solo today. Just figured I'd talk to you guys a little bit about some of the things we got going on, as well as maybe go over some tips to create vape shop juice. So let's see. So things we got going on. We have a huge release at Chef's Flavors this week, and that's the entire mix team, including our two new members, Chris DVR, who's really good mixer. If you use ELR, you might not have come across him, but he has a sugar cookie recipe. That's one of the top 4 recipes on all the flavors. So that's a really good one. And he's just a really good mixer. Kind of took a year off last year, but you know, we all kind of had him on our radar. So he's a great addition. And then the other big pickup that we got was Fear. And Fear, I think, got, I don't know if he got Recipe of the Year or close, but he's definitely a good mixer. And so if you don't know who Fear is and you don't know who Chris DVR is, those are both guys you should check out. You can find both of their stuff on all the flavors. How's everybody doing this Sunday? Nice Sunday where I am. The weather's great. So just enjoying the day. Been mixing up a bunch of stuff. No public releases right now, but just working on some different things. But the big deal is the Chef's release. And what's cool about the Chef's release is we have 2 one-shots from the whole mix team. So the mix team is 14 mixers now, and it grew and grew and grew, either from people reaching out to us or just us finding mixers that we really wanted to be on the team. That just people that are kind of showing their mix skills and then also kind of pushing the boundaries. So it's like we're not just with the mix team. It's not just like, oh, can you mix or not? It's about, you know, are you doing strange stuff? Are you pushing the boundaries? And because if you can do that, then you can probably mix the regular stuff fine. And really what the mix team's been evolving into is basically like a one-stop shop for commercial development. So if you're starting like an e-juice line in a different country, we don't really have interest in playing the U.S. at all, really, with the FDA, but there's a lot of emerging countries. South Africa is getting big, New Zealand, Australia, Russia, China's starting to have a boom, and even places like Colombia and Brazil are just starting to take off. So where we are is in the U.S., you know, that's really, we're like 5 years ago U.S. in a lot of these countries. Half the countries in the world still have it, you know, I think it's Indonesia or Thailand. You'll go to jail for a smoke tank, you know, a bottle of e-juice. So there's definitely a big difference. And if you look up where vaping's legal across the world, it's very surprising because you might not know there's all the variation in the laws. A lot of times people, you know, assume that it's the same way pretty much most places, but some places you'll go to jail and get locked up for vaping. So with all the audience from around the world, we have a lot of different types of people. There's, you know, the people that vape legally, like if you're in the UK, or there's people, you know, somewhere like Egypt or Thailand where it's a little more sketchy. So welcome to everybody watching. It's nice to have you guys here. Going to talk today a little bit about creating recipes for the person coming right off of smoking, and also kind of ways to think differently about if you're doing vape shop type of products, or even we'll go into a little bit on how to think about cloning. I'm not the biggest fan of publicly releasing your clone stuff too much. I mean, I've done in the past, but definitely never would sell them as one shots. I think that's even like crazy to do that, because then you end up, you're really in competition with the product. And if you look at Liquid Barn, where they're starting to sell one shots, that one shots like Muffin Man and stuff, that's a market these guys are going to want to get into. And if they try to get into this market and they see that you've already like created their product, you put yourself in a weird business position. So if you guys ever get approached to do one shots, things like that, strongly recommend you don't clone, come up with your own originals. And so it goes, there's the, what people in the industry, or if I say industry, let's talk DIY, the mixer community. The concept is low to no sweetener, and using the minimum amount of the flavoring to get the result, right? But then when you start to, definitely in the UK, definitely with chefs, a lot of those vapors are coming from being customers of chefs before, when they were a vape brand, and then transitioning. And as they transition, they're still wanting stuff as strong as the stuff you buy in the store. So you kind of get distance from where you once would mix. So say you're vaping, you're buying vape shop juice, you start to mix, you're going super high on your sweetener, you're going super high, even almost in like making mistakes on your flavorings. And then as you evolve as a mixer, you start to cut back on that, right? But in doing that, you sort of create a blindness to where that palate was when you were a vape shop customer, right? You forget how sweet vape juice is. So if you haven't vaped vape shop juice in a while, it's worth going and dropping $10 on something just to remember how insanely sweet that is. So if you're developing for people that are quitting cigarettes, you're going to want to hit them with two different things, and that's a high nicotine and then that sweet factor, because the sweet factor kind of acts as a substitute for them. So go weird levels. And for me, that was hard to try to think that way more recently, because I had gotten so accustomed to never going over like 1% sweetener. And then, so when I started trying to go over 1% sweetener, my sweetener choice is the Flavor Apprentice, right? And I never would have major muting issues at that 1%. But when I started trying to go over that, you're definitely catching muting on your stuff, right? And so that's where I started working with Flavor West sweetener. Jennifer suggested it, Copel suggested it as a way to just get that clean sweetener without using the extras. There's extra chemicals and things in super sweet. And then you have the maltol and the Flavor Apprentice one, which at 1%, it's great. If you're making your own mixes for yourself, that 1% is like a nice balance between the EM and the sweetener, and it'll finish the juice, right? So I found, that little bit of sweetener helps. If you're trying to add too much EM on top of that, you're gonna get like a double effect. And then also with the Flavor Apprentice, or pretty much most flavors, they're hiding EM in a lot of them, right? So if you look at the list for all the ingredients, they have this link called the list on the Flavor Apprentice website. You can start to break down what's in a flavor. and you'll see like it's in all kinds of different flavors. So you're stacking your ethyl maltol without realizing it. Bavarian cream has it heavy. Um, Strawberry ripe, I think, has it very heavy. So you get this stack effect where if you're using Flavor Apprentice sweetener, you're adding some EM on top of that, and then you're using flavors that are predominantly built that way. You're going to end up muting your mix and have no clue what it is, and then you'll cut the EM and be like, all right, well, I got the EM out, still muting, cut the sweetener out, still muting. That's because it's hidden inside the ingredients. Yeah, Graham, it is maltol, not EM in the sweetener. But from what I understand, from what Jennifer's talked about, it also has that muting effect. So you end up hiding flavors, messing up flavors, things like that. Where with Flavor West sweetener, it's just the pure sucralose, so it doesn't interfere as much. So you'd want to use the Flavor Apprentice one when you're kind of trying to dial back the sharp notes and at the same time give it a tiny bit of sweetness. But if you're trying to go vape shop style and go stupid sweet, or like just abusively sweet, go with Flavor West. And then a lot of people go with super sweet, but there's other chemicals and stuff in there, so you're kind of creating a juice that's not as good as it could be. So that's some different tips on the sweetener. And then as far as your flavorings go, I mean, if we're talking vape shop stuff, I love Flavor West. Like, it's not usable from a standpoint of professional. Like, I remember I was talking to Pretty Matt from Charlie Noble, and he said he would never use them again because they had used them. They had not told them the full story about the ingredients that were in it, what contained what, and then caused them to have to like remanufacture their whole line or certain flavors that they had. So you end up, from a business standpoint, that can cost you a lot of money when you're dealing with like a flavor company that's not telling you, exactly what's what. But from a mixing for yourself, like if you're trying to just, get that old school vape shop juice experience that you were used to, there's some good stuff in there, like jungle juice and beetle juice, grape juice. Those are killer when you mix them up the right way. It's good stuff. So if you haven't tried all the weird Flavor West stuff, and you're looking for like a vape shop experience, that's a good place to go. I know that when I started making my girlfriend juices and stuff, that was what she really responded to. And so she never bought vape shop juice because I'm a mixer. So, and she started vaping, end of last year. So she just had a great mixer to make her stuff. But in doing the different notes and kind of finding out what she liked, grape soda was what really hit that all day vape for her. And I make a different one that's like a little bit of Flavor West white grape in it. And I've kind of worked through versions of it. So started with just grape juice, then went with a Flavor grape and the grape juice. Then the other one that's really good is or grape juice. I'm saying grape juice, but I mean like grape soda. And then Flavor Apprentice grape juice is really good too. So I was doing like a combination of those two, the grape soda Flavor West and Flavor Apprentice grape soda. And then I worked even further down on the evolution of this continual, because I keep making her like 30 mils of it. And then I found like an old bottle of white grape Flavor West. And then I put those two with the grape soda. And then I even add sweetener to it because she's on a mouth to lung kind of starter kit. It's an Anakin Easy Watt, I think it's called. I mean, these are pinhole air slots, right? So you're over here testing on like a dripper. You're not really getting a full understanding of the spectrum of vapors, right? So it's important for you to, you know, smoke tank, right? It's like, because it's one of the best selling tanks, I'll go buy little, whatever their cartridges for these, you know, like once every couple months, pop it in and just vape my stuff to see what the smoke tank world of customers would experience. And then with hers, you know, you're getting maybe like 1/10 of the flavor. So when you're going up crazy sweet, or you're going up higher flavoring than you'd be comfortable with, like somebody would recommend probably grape soda like 5 to 7, you know, and I'm doing a 9, and then adding sweetener, because by the time it goes through that tank, it slices down the notes where they're very minimal. So you have that room. But that's important because you can get blind to your device, where if you're dripping, or if you have like a certain tank and then you're mixing and you're like, oh, that tastes good, it may not taste good across the spectrum. So that's something that's important to think about as well. So let me check the chat out, see if you guys got any questions and stuff. What's up, UK? What's up, Sinesio? Apex, Subvapes, Master Marshall, all the gangs here, Mr. Burgundy. Thank you guys for all joining. It's crazy that, like, in the bigger DIY groups, it's just the repetitive questions. Like, it's the same thing, like automated. Like, if we had automated answers with Facebook, it would save a ton of time. What up, ID10T? Because, you know, they're asking the same questions. And I'd almost made at one point for the website like a, not a wiki, but like a frequently asked questions thing. Yeah. But if you guys are just getting started, if anyone's watching this and you don't know how to mix, go to ejuicemakers.com/help. And we have some videos from Jennifer, myself, New Amsterdam, links to all the different types of products you need, and then just more resources as you dive deeper. And so it's a useful way for you to kind of get a feel. And I created that page as kind of an answer to the mega list of links that I would see on the Facebook groups, where someone's asking, you know, hey, how do I do this? And the response they get is like every bookmark ever created. And that doesn't really help people that are maybe visual learners or tactile learners. It's just like, okay, now I gotta dig for this, right? So that it's a little bit easier for people. And it's very easy to remember, right? ejuicemakers.com/help, right? And I created that link even so that people could just drop that link as an answer. And then instead of like 100 links, they get the videos to start with. And then they can work their way through the flavor houses and kind of see what's going on and things like that. So that's a good resource. All our mix teams recipe links, they're public recipes, that's available on the website. I get a message like every other day about the MixLife app, like tons of users. There's a ton of people around the world that were using this app. So it was very cool to see you know, the response after we turned it off, and to just see people like, hey, I love this thing. And so we've kind of addressed a lot of the pieces of it on the website. So yeah, if you liked a lot of the stuff we did, there's some like hidden features on the website. Like there's a thing called Mix TV, and that pulls Wayne's videos, my videos. I got to update it to get the Mix and Vixens on there, but it puts Noted, it puts Concrete River, Jennifer Jarvis. So it's kind of like a smarter, it's like a DIY mixing YouTube page. So if you haven't seen that, it's very cool. Let me take a moment to vape and read some chat. That was cool. Cesare got an order from Chefs and got our little e-juice makers menu. So that's cool to see they went out. That was an idea we had, which was I wanted to make this really special. So I spent some time working on like a restaurant menu concept for it. And then I left the mixers' names off of it because I didn't want people to like go to their mixer first, right? See, like we're kind of the most brand friendly name to the Chef's audience because we've sold a lot of product there. I didn't want them to be like, oh, Chemist, oh, Copel. All right, these are the ones I'm getting. I wanted the whole team to kind of be treated as equal and let the brand present it, right? So the brand is e-juice makers, and this is a menu of all the items. You can see it on Chef's group. You can see it on our e-juice makers Facebook page if you want to look at the menu. And Emily posted in the DIY or Die Facebook group too. So if you haven't seen it, I love it. I think it's cool. And yeah, Mixer Tube or whatever I call it is cool. It's very cool, innovative kind of page, and it's a sleeper. Like not a lot of people use it or know about it, but it's very useful. Because YouTube's weird. Like you'll do like the videos. You know, like I'll use the Roku for the YouTube, and it'll change my home screen to be all kinds of random channels that it thinks I like. But you almost end up missing a lot of stuff you want to watch. So the Mixer Tube thing, Graham, it's on the website. It's e-juice makers, and then it's under DIY resources. Yeah, Shendo, that ain't gonna happen. That guy was dramatically opposed to me when I first started out. Like, just they didn't like the idea that I was trying to create like a brand or like is it all e-juice makers really started as just a project. Like I learned what I learned, and then I was like, well, I want to make a website with things that aren't available or kind of pool things together. So it was really just passion, 100%. And there was definitely some people that were just pissed off that I was trying to create something. I had a ELR account called Chemist the Fraud when I first started. I would just go around and like 1-star my reviews and shit. So crazy. Like mixing's difficult enough trying to figure it out. And then just imagine having, you know, your own hater group right out of the box, you know, people that are just like, fuck this guy. So yeah, there's a strange thing going on. You know, I got a block list. It's got a couple big names in DIY, you know, because they just weren't supportive. And Jennifer was one of the most like sideline supportive girls that I didn't work with at the time. And that's how we ended up working down the road, was because she was always cool. And I was like, all right, this girl's cool. You know, if this thing grows, she's somebody that I'd like to work with. And you know, we're doing stuff. There's some cool stuff going on. You know, and we you know, 2 years later, we have our own e-juice line that's in Canada. Now it's in Mexico. And then it's coming to a couple other countries too soon. So that's cool, you know, that from like really just a fuck around project where I was like, all right, I want to, you know, that DIY, that help page is like one of the first things I built there. And then all the flavors at the time wasn't really big at all. There's just a few people using it, and it was really more something like Wayne and Colt were pushing for people to use, but most of the traffic at the time was over on ELR. So as that came out, I'd created a thing called the ELR dashboard, which was like charts and the ranking of the recipes and stuff. And then like a week later, all the flavors created their chart homepage and stuff. And then I got so much pushback for that ELR chart, I took it down. Like, so it's crazy. Like this industry sort of would like bite back at you for new ideas in the days when I started. Now we're a little more in Pickle Rick zone where things like that are okay. And you know, the guy from the Flavor Wiki, he got through the fire without being, you know, burnt to a crisp. Because, you know, it's a different time period, I think, for new ideas. People are a lot more open to people coming from left field and doing great stuff. I mean, if you look at Shendo, like he's been mixing a while, but just, you know, goes from mango sticky rice to one shots at Chef's, you know, within a few months. So yeah, there's some wildness in this community, you know, but you know, yeah, I mean, with the two different ones, I use ELR as my workspace, right? So that's I like the workflow. I like how quick I can make a recipe. I like that just the way it works, I understand. Like I can make a recipe on all the flavors as well, but when I'm trying to like make recipes quick, something about the interface to me works better. So I use ELR as like my, you know, my workbook, right? Where I'll figure things out, adapt recipes, tweak them, all those things. And then I've used all the flavors as like a portfolio. So I only have probably like 6 or 8 recipes, something like that over there. But on ELR, another benefit to building up an ELR account is that every one of your followers is equivalent to an email subscriber. And I think I have like 1,100, something like that, following on ELR. So every time I release a new recipe there, 1,100 people are getting an email about my recipe. And that, I mean, I get like 700 views in 10 minutes from that. So if you're 100% all the flavors kind of guy, there's a benefit to having the ELR account too. But you know, and it's free, right? But I like that it's free to create recipes. That was the hang up I had with all the flavors is you're limited to like two recipes, I think, publicly. But even in our group, like half the group is ELR based, you know, but then there's other guys like Dave, who's like one of the top, definitely most. He's got like 700 hidden recipes. And then even, I think, probably close to the most public ones too. So, you know, most of our team is, you know, within the top 50 or 25, something like that, ranks over there. And then a few of us are in like the top 50 or so on ELR as well. So it's nice. So most of the teams there. Jennifer, I think, has one of the most popular recipes on ELR recently, which would be her Mama's Melons. And but both of those sites are useful. You know, there's advantages to both, and there's more history of flavor notes on ELR, but then the way that all the flavors does the flavor chart is very useful for finding, you know, where a flavor is supposed to be, things like that. So I use them both. You know, I use them for different things, but I'm definitely using both of them. Go Jennifer. Yeah, it's crazy. Like we kind of need a good FAQ page, or like the 100 first questions of mixing, because they just come across every group, especially the big DIY groups. Like, what scale to buy? What scale to buy? And you definitely see why the sidebar police and Reddit were created, was because it just gets frustrating to have to answer kind of the same basic questions. Let's see what else is going on with you folks. Yeah, that VGod clone thing was funny, but I mean, honestly, it's their trademark. If you're gonna name a clone and you're gonna name it the fucking brand name, you're in the wrong technically. Now, they're in the wrong for trying to come after kind of their own, right? That was where I think a lot of the anger that the DIY community had was like, yo, we're both vapors. We should be going after like FDA regulations, flavor ban, all that shit. But instead, we're going after each other over clones that aren't even good, and they aren't even one-to-ones. I remember there was a girl that got took down on, she posted in DIY or Die that they asked her to take it down, but she was like real close with the clone. Like, she had cloned so close. Might have been 6 strings. I don't remember. But like, got an actual, yeah, Apex, you're the one to write it. You're without a doubt our data creator. Jennifer's our creative writer and ruthless contract creator. And Apex is like the 1,000 flavors that trended the most this year. Or how many times Concrete did a flavor note, which is impressive. That is impressive. Because it's like the top 100 recipes. It's in the forum on ELR, and it's like the top 100 recipes, like, broke down scientifically. I love that shit. Like, seeing that data and the analytics, it really helps you understand the way people use flavors and recipes. Now, the problem is that data is done on recipes that are like super old with different resources, but there's some potential to that, of being able to understand how many times strawberry ripe gets used and where, and what it's most combined with, and what are really good starter flavors to start with. You know, that's all that stuff's important. Yeah, it was 6 strings, wasn't it? She got a cease and desist for a clone, but like, yeah, Dave talks shit about a flavor better than anybody else. He just, like, if the flavor was a person, he would like break their spirit. That's what Dave does to flavors. He breaks their spirit. Yeah, I like folders on ELR. I think that's a cool feature. If you haven't used that, you can kind of break down in different projects. For example, it would be Apexified's Blue Raspberry Slushy version 1 through 40 type of thing. And you could keep it in a folder. Now, when you put stuff in a folder on ELR, it takes it out of your main list of recipes. So I don't know if I like that. I kind of would like my list of all recipes to be like a universal list, and then them be in the folders as well. But just know that's what's going on. If you add a recipe to the folder and then you're like, where did my recipe go? It's still there. It just kind of moves to a different position. Let's see what else is going on. Oh my God, poor Dave Bellows and cheesecakes. I don't know what's worse. I think cheesecakes is worse. Like, did you guys even steep them for 3 weeks? Or are you like fresh vaping cheesecakes? That's ID10T on the Noted show tomorrow night. Vaping cheesecakes. This will be a fantastic show if you want to see him throw up. Yeah, Shindo, that's kind of what we've done with the MixLife team is built in like a mentorship type of system where there's not any there's no assholishness going on or I'm better than you type of thing, but it's really turned into kind of just a way to get the feedback that's hard to get on recipes. Because when you put up recipes on Facebook or whatever, if people generally like you, they're not going to rip you to shreds. But as a mixer that's trying to get a lot better, it's good to have somebody kind of critique your stuff and tell you like, yeah, that's wrong. You should do that, or other ideas. So that's an important part of growing and mixing is to have somebody that you don't get offended by tell you where you can improve. So if you don't have that, find someone that you know has the skills, and then give them permission to like tell you when you're wrong or tell you when something doesn't work right, because that's important. Like to be able to take criticism and not get offended by it. I definitely didn't know how to do that in my early days. I used to do video editing. I was going to school for video editing at University of Southern California. And I got like my first project where I wasn't the director as well. I was having just to edit. And man, I did not like the idea of them criticizing my cut. Wasn't a fan. And it began, a long process of me getting used to, and then eventually embracing criticism where, seeing it as like, that's the pathway to become better is to fail, right? And to be told when you're out of line because you have this blinder effect where you won't see everything going on that you're missing, right? So it's very important. Yeah, we don't let Dave around the youngins. He breaks them. He's like Rocky IV Russian trainer. That's what he's about. Or Cobra Kai. He's a sensei from Cobra Kai. If you get Dave as your mentor, it's gonna hurt. Yeah, I don't think anyone's donating to ELR. That's why it looks like Windows 98. But it's that classic, like if you've ever come across a developer, like that's how they think, is like simple, does what it's supposed to, no frills. I used to work with a developer like daily because I'm a marketing guy, right? So we design things and I'd be like, I wanted to do this. And he's like, it can't do that it'll take 3 weeks type of thing. So they just think. I had a conversation with a Google engineer one time and I was in New York at a trade show for marketing, and just so logical, like like a like already a robot person, right? And I walked away like I never want to work at Google after this, like just after like meeting like a successful Google employee and seeing how like robotic type of thinking and stuff. It really like not for me type of thing. But if you work with developers and stuff, it goes well. But they just don't think about marketing. They think like a calculator, right? So if you look at ELR, electronic recipe calculator, that it's a calculator. Q has a little more marketing to him, so he's created the charts and a little bit more of the frills. He's got, a little more of the important parts of it. But if you think about, they're developers developing web pages, right? And they're not companies, they're just individuals. So you lack what you're looking for, which is marketing or the feature, like the buzzy fun features, right? It's all technical. So that's where you kind of lack with those. And that's really what e-juice makers was created to be, was kind of the marketing, but not really selling anything off the bat, just more, one of the first things we were doing was our recipe books, where we would we'd put together like album covers, like mixtapes, or like, because I remember there used to be like the street mixtapes back in the day. And so that was kind of the thinking, was like give the recipes a mixtape cover. And that's kind of transitioned now into all the flavors has the images, right? And you're seeing a lot more creativity in those images and people caring a little bit more about them. But that's what we would use them for, to really get our name out, was to create the recipe books and kind of showcase like a graphic marketing type of portfolio of the recipes, because the recipes are kind of boring in their print form compared to like a vape shop bottle, right? If you compare those two, the recipe's kind of boring looking. So that was kind of the thinking about it, was, how can we make the recipes match what the vape shop customers are looking for? And now the evolution of that is the one shots, right? We're creating our own type of working versions of vape shop brands, kind of in the different, if you look at Wizard Labs, one we did, it's all like gritty and grunge. And then with the chefs, it's like a beer label, kind of clean. And then with e-cig Express, they're kind of like modern, cool look to them. So you have different styles, right? And it creates a little bit more buzz than just like label name, And that's something to think about, is that there needs to be a buzz factor if you're trying to be commercial, if you're trying to sell one shots or just trying to get noticed as a mixer. Because like just putting up the same ELR link is not going to push people to see what you're doing. It's about creating a buzz and creating kind of like a swell. They call it a groundswell, right? When a new brand has a good groundswell, Apple's one of the best at doing it. Like they have their developer conference and they surprise you with something new, and then it swells out to the news stations and the media, and every news station that night is showing you a little video clip of that, right? So it's important to think about that as you develop your recipes. You know, mango sticky rice definitely was one of those, but one of the biggest ones of the year, like most controversial, most groundswell type of viral recipe, was Dave's pickle Rick, right? Because he just like, this is strange as fuck, and I'm putting it out and I'm putting my reputation behind it, but it's absolutely insane, right? And that got him coverage that then, now other recipes that he makes, like he already had a brand name, he already had notoriety before that, but just so much more, right? And then Concrete River taking his flavor notes, which are like the boring version, the print, and turning it into his videos, and then he's Mixer of the Year that year, right? So you can see there's the marketing aspect has a lot to do with you as a mixer kind of going from a great mixer to like a profitable mixer, or even just a reputable mixer. Gonna have a vape break. Yeah, Rick's girlfriend did our Wizard Labs labels. They're badass. Like it's meant to like look like a 1992 poster for like a grunge concert in Seattle. So that's what that line is. If you haven't tried those, go buy some. If you've never tried Wizard Labs, they got their bottle situation together. They're using proper plastic bottles. They have their payment situation together. They're using authorized.net, so secure now. And they'll beat your prices. There's some good, for the most part, they'll beat some different prices if you do a price compare. So give it a try if you haven't. Support our stuff. It helps us make more stuff. Like, we need the projects that we have to do well. And as they do well, that lets us do different projects besides this, not just one shots. So your support matters. It's the PBS fund drive going on right now. Well, traditionally, Flavor Art calls things one shots that aren't all the way there. The Pazzo line is designed by certain DIYers. I don't think any of our team did any. I think, but I don't think they've released any of that info, so I probably can't say either way. But they're, from what I understand, they're DIY mixers that put those together, so you get a lot better development on those, right? Like your quality is a little bit better than however they were doing things like Aurora and those kind of emotions lines that were supposed to be, or even like the Wow or those things. Like, they've traditionally fallen short with one shots, but this line seems to be a little bit better, and then they're priced in a good way. I think they're cheap. So yeah, pick those up too if you want to try them. I know Rick has a girlfriend. It surprised us all. It's probably just a picture of a woman on a broom, and that's him doing the graphic design, but however he pulled that off, they were good. speak about papaya TPA a little. It's like a musky, so musky, but I like it. Use it light. Jennifer's done some good work with papaya. That's in her Mama's Melons, I think. It's musky, so you're gonna get into inaware territory of notes that you don't really want to be there if you go too strong. So just treat it light and then work from there. So start low. But I like it. It's such a cool flavor. Yeah, Christopher Coppell couldn't be here today because he's busy with Shindo's mom. That is, yeah, had to do that one. It's a recurring segment. His poor mom's gonna watch the show because he's like, "Mom, they mentioned my name on this show," and then it's just gonna go downhill from there. Yeah, Graham, we've all seen photos on the internet. I'm sorry. Swore I'd be nice about Shindo's mom today. Yep. I talked for an hour, it looks like, give or take. Any questions, get them in. Spend $10, buy some of our one-shots somewhere. Help support the cause. If you come across people that want to do development deals and you're not feeling it or it's just not your thing, send them our way, especially emerging countries, all around the world. We are set up with 14 mixers to handle it. So if something comes your way and you're not feeling like the deal, send it our way. We can totally handle it with 14 people. So we are ready and able to really start to deploy as a commercial developing thing. And it looks like Wayne and them are gonna go the route of like a flavor house brand, which I think is, if they can pull that off, it's great. It's a big project. But I wish them the best. They've always supported our stuff, so I hope they pull that off. Really what we're designing ourselves to be is the premier mixing team that you want to create your next vape line. So, people are like, who should I use to make our juice? That's e-juice makers. That's where we want to be as a brand. And we're going to keep DIYing because it's kind of like practice. You got to keep fresh, and you got to keep really like your ear to the ground, like knowing the trends and knowing just being a DIY mixer is you're working out that skill so that you, compared to somebody that is trying to start a juice line and they don't mix at all, you're much more advantageous to do that. There may or may not be some new Flavora flavors dropping. I'm not the one that's going to break any news, but just throwing that hint out there. So keep an eye out for that. Vape Trains sold the hell out on Bull City. So US is definitely taking advantage of that. And then Flavora was saying that they get different orders from the MixLife show where like people hear about what we're talking about all around the world. That's so cool. It's like, this is a worldwide thing. And it's real hard to place when you're just like in your city, and it's all digital. But like we're all a team of global mixers. You know, we're a community. We're just the MixLife team alone, the e-juice makers mix team. You know, we spread across the whole United States and even into Europe with Seduced. He's in Belgium, so it's a global thing. And a lot of people in the U.S. are like, "Oh, the waves crashed. This is, you know, the end of the industry." Da, da, da. There's a whole wide world out there, and you know, I feel like we're at the beginning of a new industry that's kind of going to be birthed out of the ashes of the little original wave, because people don't want to go back to cigarettes, and they're not going to want to go back to cigarettes in 10 years from now. Like when you know, it's stupid as hell what, you know, Rip Trippers, but his slogan is right. Like vaping's the future, and it's real. Like that is the reality of that, is that people aren't going to want to smoke cigarettes in a decade from now or 2 decades from now, but they're still going to want their fix. They're still going to want their nicotine fix. You know, so that's going to be a continued thing. And like all you guys here on the group, you know, all you guys that are the involved mixers, you know, you may be at the birth of an industry, not at the end of an industry. You know, so just think of it that way. Expand your eyes a little bit to look at the world as your mixing platform instead of just the U.S. And you know, keep on mixing. See if anyone's got any other questions. Get them in the chat now. Yeah, definitely taking over. Definitely the growth that we as a brand have seen, from it just being me and Christopher, you know, spamming groups with our recipes, to us having a podcast. You know, I think we're like almost 1,200 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. This is our 49th weekly podcast, and I used to not even want to get on YouTube and talk on video. So it's crazy what just practicing and doing the time, it works, you know. And there's no better time for you guys to start doing something you believe in, doing something that you care about or that enjoy than now. You know, so get involved in something, whether it's, you know, like we're not expanding the mix team right now, but if you want to help out and create content, you know, we're open to that. And you know, you all can help. You can help us just by sharing your favorite recipes from any of the mixers that you like. And that should be a practice in general. Like if you mix something and you like it, the very next thing you should do is share it on a Facebook group, share it in the DIY liquid recipes 20,000+ people group. You know, be the advertising for these mixers that you're enjoying the mix of, right? And that doesn't happen enough. It's got a real similar feel to like the mixtape musician scene, where people consume, but they don't necessarily push the brands or the people that they enjoy. So, you know, if you come across mixes you like, you see posts by us or posts by people that you support, share them, like them, comment, because it makes a difference. It really is just like that little bit of difference. You know, Shindo's got the release at Chef's. Congratulations to him. And we have our 28 one-shots coming this week. Carl had a baby in the middle of this project and somehow still fucking pulled this thing off, which is, he gets a hand clap, because any of you guys with kids know you usually don't get anything done that first month. And, you know, just keep on mixing, guys. We'll be here next Sunday. And I was going to do a half-hour show, but rambled for an hour. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're watching this for the first time, visit the website, ejuicemakers.com. If you know people that want to do commercial projects, send them our way. There's a form, hire us on the website. Subscribe and bell the show, wherever you would do that. And then Facebook group, Facebook page, there's a ton of groups. I mean, if you want to join our group, you can. But like the Facebook page, helps the brand. And thanks for all the support across the board. We got people around the world buying our products, selling our products for us, promoting it. So it's really nice. It's real nice to have everyone's support. We appreciate it. So happy Sunday to you guys, and keep on mixing. And I'll see you later.